90. Be trimming the 90p here in a second. Get some things rounded up. Our weapon of choice today, 88 waves. I have some of the other large 88 scissors, but sometimes it's really not as easy to trim, especially a large amount like this with the big one. Sometimes it's literally almost just as fast. But the big ones are nice if you're trying to go to the front and you're, especially if you're in weird angles. But yeah, if you're just sitting there trimming away, small ones are honestly a little more faster. But they all have their purpose. Sorry, disconnected for a second. What's up, Kevin? What's up, everybody? I'll try to keep up with the chat as much as I can. Of course, you guys can talk away. But if I don't answer your question right away, I'll be trimming the tank here, so I'll do a little section at a time, see how fast I can do this. Usually this tank is not too bad. Of course, this 90p I try to keep as thin as possible, and that goes with any Iwagumi or any carpet, because the thicker it is, the more debris and gunk that gets caught in it. And then if it gets too thick and you go to trim it one day, basically the light can't penetrate through that deeper carpet, so you're gonna have a lot of dead growth underneath when you do go to trim. So consistent trimmings are just gonna be better overall health for your tank. And so that's why even when and plus the deeper it gets, the more basically dense the carpet gets, the more it wants to float. And so that's why you'll find a lot of tanks, the carpets just want to like unroot itself. And that's another reason why we keep them so thin. Um, some people just keep it really, don't keep up with trimmings. That's fine. But if you really want the best out of you, give me and you want it to look the absolute best, definitely keep it really short. Usually keep like 88 Galley, for example. I mean, maybe keeps their carpets an inch, like an eighth thick, and that's pretty much where I do mine. About an 8 to a quarter thick is what I do mine. So I try to keep how they do theirs for sure. But it does visually look nice when a carpet's really thin and lush. It does look nice. You can just see though how this tank, how it's kind of like, well, once you start seeing how lumpy it is, I mean, it looks really cool because it's really grown in. But yeah, it definitely needs, it's definitely time for a trimming. I don't want to wait a little. If I wait any longer, it's gonna get away from me. So, but I think right now it's not even that thick. It's just some areas you can definitely tell it's definitely thicker than others. But I don't know, it's maybe like an inch thick. Like actually not even that, honestly. Maybe in some areas, but it's like 3/4. But on the way we go. I need to get more. Now that the flow's off, you can see like not the ember touches, the ruby touches are definitely out a little more. I probably need to turn down the flow quite a bit in this tank because I think that's what's kind of keeping them kind of hidden a little bit. Because sometimes they'll just kind of hide behind like kind of this rock, or it almost seems like they're trying to get away from the flow sometimes. So I think to keep them out and active. But I really need to add to the school again. I need to get a couple dozen more. But we'll see what happens. I think I got like 2 dozen in there now. Yeah, the S-Repins are finally coming in, starting to look, the tank's actually starting to look pretty cool with all the S-Repins. I don't know if I'll do anything else. I mean, again, like this tank's gonna be redone by the end of this year and tore down. But we'll just see. We'll kind of keep an eye on things. If I really feel like I need to add more, I will. But I think it looks fine. 'Cause again, that strap ends will continue to grow in, and we'll just see how it looks. But this tank will be redone for contest next year, so this Iwagumi is more just for this, because of course our 45C is the contest tank this year, so this was just more for fun, just to have something going this year. So it'll be back to nature style next year. Now here comes the sucky part. I almost should drain this tank a little bit. Probably should. Let's just see how it goes. Only thing to do now is just trim. No good way to start. Just start hacking. Yeah. Let me drain this tank just a tiny bit. I should do it. Back to it. Yeah, usually when I start a carpet, I'll try to get I'll kind of start a patch here, and I'll kind of get a guide point of, basically how thick I want it. So I kind of just, once I get the height that I like, and then that's when I would kind of just continue that onward. So that's kind of like how I like to start it. But the front, like I was saying, is the bigger scissors. I'll show you guys later if you guys are still watching. That I like to go back in the front here, because sometimes it's kind of hard to trim this front with these waves. But it's kind of hard to tell the depth through like the middle here, because the middles are always going to be your deepest parts usually. And of course, you can't really tell your height that well unless you like literally cut down to soil. But I just kind of feel it out, just I'll trim it as deep as I can, and then if I see that I'm trimming a little too deep, I'll hold off. But even after this trimming, these S-reps are going to look a lot taller because the carpet's thinner. But usually, like a big tank like this, it does kind of, I mean, I've gotten used to it over time, but it can kind of cramp up your hands a little bit, especially if you're trimming this large of a scale of a tank and you're just this constant motion with your hand with the scissors can get kind of cramping. So sometimes I just take it, a section at a time. But usually most people like tank this size, it could take an hour or two for some people for sure. I can do it pretty quickly now just because I'm pretty used to trimming, and I can get it all fine-tuned within about 30 minutes or so, or less. Won't take me too long. I mean, I've already done this bale section. It's been 2 minutes, so once you get used to your own tank and start trimming it, it doesn't. You get yourself in a routine. It's not too difficult. It does get kind of tiring though, especially in a big open tank like this where you just trim. If any of you guys have left a comment so far, I'm not ignoring you. I'll check in a second. Just trying to get a good portion of this trim because I know I'm probably gonna talk. I'll get talking and just want to be able to get this done by the night fairly quickly. A lot of Monte Carlo, that's for sure. It's gonna start looking a little dark when there's so much on the surface. What's up, everybody? I might have been covering the... My bad if I'm hogging the camera. I know I'm right here, like right where the lens is, so I'll try to trim this real quick for you guys so I'm not like in your guys' way of viewing. This top section is like really the most dense. There's so much here. But this carpet's looking pretty good. This is definitely the best it's ever looked. It was kind of acting weird for a little bit. Where it was like, especially with me dosing 88 in this tank, it's pretty lean to where the carpet really doesn't grow as fast, which is nice. It's kind of what you want in Iwagumi. Because yeah, you dose pretty strong in Iwagumi. I mean, you'll be trimming literally weekly. Which is not horrible, but you'd rather not. Ooh, hand's starting to hurt now. I did that a little too fast. Okay. Yeah, I'm watching Green Aqua for sure. Yeah, I actually know Balaj pretty well and Tommy and all that. I've been to Green Aqua and I actually have Balaj's number. We talk all the time. Yeah, we've met a bunch of times before, so for sure. Yeah, Green Aqua is definitely the channel I recommend to a lot of people for starting out in the hobby for sure. Definitely some cool, great people over there. Yeah, I've known Green Aqua way before they had a store, which is pretty cool. Well, we got almost half of it. Not really though. pull up some here in a second. A lot of Monte Carlo. You can definitely dry. You can really dry start with this stuff. Just sprinkle it right at the tank. Lights turned off. About 3/4 there. It's not too bad. How long are we streaming? It's been 20 minutes so far. Pretty efficient. Make sure you guys aren't asking any questions. Yeah. Like I said, feel free you guys to ask away. I know I'm trimming, but I'll get to you guys. So close. Yeah, so the next scape in this tank, obviously the contest scape will be this 45C this year, and then it's going to go back to this 90P. And yeah, at least right now it's going to be more nature style, which I don't think that's going to change. I've been doing basically Iwagumis in this tank the last 2 years, so at least ever since I've had this 90P, it's only been Iwagumi. So yeah, I definitely want to add wood in here of some sort in here next escape round. So yeah, nature style is definitely going to be the way I'll go next time around. The style of nature or how I'm going to do it, I'm still kind of deciding that now. But whatever I do, it'll look pretty sweet. Yeah, 88 tanks are definitely nice. They're definitely, if you definitely want one of the best tanks out there, I mean the best tanks out there. Yeah, they're gonna last you a long time, and they definitely are gonna look really nice. Water box tanks are actually really nice. Actually, the ADA retailer that I work for, we're also a water box retailer, and yeah, they're great. I mean, of course, still not ADA, but definitely the freshwater versions. They're even the reef tanks with those some systems you can even do freshwater in those, and they're great. Yeah, definitely water box is definitely impressive for sure. This whole setup, um, I yeah, I think I now have closer to 10,000 into the setup, but it was probably originally when by the time I actually had it up and running the first time, it was probably about 8,000. But I've made plenty of upgrades since, so yeah, I'm probably pushing 10,000. Oh yeah, water box 16. That's basically a 60p aquarium and 88 60p. And yeah, I've done plenty of those water box 16s, and yeah, they look great. I mean, especially for that price, I would go for it for sure. Trust me, the average person is not going to tell the difference between a say a water box 16 and a 60p. I can tell you that right now. It looks just as good. Only people like us are going to be the ones that are going to nitpick between the 88 and a water box. I mean, you put them side by side and you're going to know a difference, but other than that, it's going to look just as good at the end of the day. Yeah, because water box goes all the way up to 180p now, so yeah, definitely if you're trying to get like a really big tank and a rimless, definitely would be the way to go. If you couldn't get a hold of, or if you don't want to spend the money on, say, UNS or ADA. Okay, I need to net out some of this Monte Carlo. I can't really see no more. That's the worst part of trimming, getting all this out of here. Okay. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're gonna like that water box, 100%. Especially if you ever, especially people that haven't had rimless tanks before. I mean, just an unturn of another option that's just not that bad price and it still looks really good. I mean, Waterbox does not go cheap on their stuff either, so and it's United States brand, so American made. Oh yeah, I did see that. 'Cause, yeah, I actually entered into that same contest for that UNS 3 gallon. Yeah, that's pretty cool that you got it. Yeah, that's probably a nice little tank. I think we're about done. Yeah, I dose lean this tank, so I dose 88 fertilizer in this one. And that's only because Iwagumi tanks there's not much plant mass to begin with, and so which just means you're more prone to algae in these type of tanks. So because Iwagumi traditionally you only have carpet only and sometimes some mid grounds like we have in here. And so, like I said, there's not much plant mass, so you get more of an algae bloom. Not that you usually will, but you're just more prone to algae basically. So basically, because of that, we'll dose lean. And like I said, I use 88 ferts in this, so that we're just less prone to algae, and also it just promotes slower growth in the plants. So we're not trimming this. Obviously, you see how much work it took just to do what I did right now. Imagine doing that 2 times a week if you're trying to keep it, as low as this, and you're dosing like, a pretty rich fertilizer. So it's just to make life a lot easier, just to dose lean in a Yugumi setup. That's why I don't always recommend 88 to everything, because like some setups, definitely 88 is um, acceptable, but sometimes it's just better to go with the other fert. 88 is lean for a reason, just to people that want to enjoy their tanks more and have to do less trimming, but you're also going to get way slower growth, and it takes longer to see progress with 88 ferts as well too. But at the same time though, because of that leaner dosage, you actually get better coloration out of plants and growth, and it just looks healthier. Because I always like to explain it like this. So say you're doing something at your job. Say if you're taking your time, you go slow, and of course, when you take your time on something, usually it comes out better. And say if you're trying to rush something, you might get the job done, but it's not as great as it probably could have been. And I kind of take that same logic into dosing. ADA, you might wait way longer for plants to actually grow in and stuff like that, because you're dosing so lean, you're dosing so little that the plants are just getting enough food to grow and be healthy enough. Um, but because of that patience you get from the leading footage of ADA, you actually get better looking plants at the end of the day. So, and of course, in certain scapes and certain styles of tanks, ADA just doesn't work. Like if you have like per se like some of my tanks, I have Monte Carlo grown as epiphyte. Well, Monte Carlo is a carpeting plant and it needs to get food somehow, and so I have to dose more in the water column for that Monte Carlo to grow like that. And so some tanks you just simply couldn't ever do 88 ferts if you have a certain, depending on the plants. So just something to consideration. But yeah, Igumis, I always tell people just to dose lean. Nothing wrong with dosing regular though. If you like trimming. Nice, yeah. Igumis are fun. They're just nice and simple, and you can't be a lush carpet, that's for sure. Now we bring out the big boy, ADA. These straight ones are good for going to the fronts of the tanks. This might be a little too big. I need the bigger straight scissors. I'm getting there though. Basically, just have the 88 tool collection I have right now is just basically the essential stuff. I'll eventually go back and buy some of the stuff So I eventually want to have the whole collection. I should already have the whole collection by now, but it does cost a lot of money at the end of the day. Okay. Nice. And that is how you trim a 90p. Yeah, you can see how like the ash ribbons look so much taller now. Like they actually have they like I don't know if contrast is the right word, but it just pops. Like so defined now. Okay. Yeah, the S ribbons like stick out so much more now. You can actually truly see how big they are. Tank's a bit dirty now, but time for water change. Won't be able to get everything out, but some of the stuff we'll just have to suck up with the pump. Try to get the bigger chunks out though. That's the only thing about trimming carpets. It's a mess. But we have a surface skimmer too that will collect a lot of this at the end. Try to manually remove it as much as we can. Alrighty. That should be good enough for now. Okay. Water change time. And the draining starts. Not too bad. I think after this water's changed, we'll be right at an hour. Pretty quick for a big trim and water change. do a good old 50%er. Now we fill. Alright, go ahead and turn on the filter. Gonna go ahead and remineralize. That hurt. Yeah, we just trimmed the whole thing, and then of course we're doing a water change now, so it's looking pretty nice now. Real nice. Probably should have cleaned the lily pipe while I was at it, but I'll do that next time. I got all the showers to do tonight as well, so don't want to do too much. I got so much to do tomorrow. It's pretty good. Our water change system's pretty sweet. Like this 90 PL is the biggest tank, and literally do a water change. I can drain it less than 2 minutes and fill it up in less than 2 minutes, so it's quite good. I'm using the BRS system. I mean, it just all comes down to how much water do you actually really need, and obviously, how hard your water actually is. I have the best system, BRS cells, which is the 7th stage, 200 gallons a day. So not only is it the best, it's also produces the most per day. But that one's good because it literally comes with every adapter on the planet, so pretty much it's just good to go out of the box. But if you're really needing a lot of RO, then you can look towards commercial units, but BRS will get the job done if you're not needing too much. I mean, I have 12 ADA setups in the BRS 7. I mean, yeah, I use about a full brute trash can every single day, but it definitely gets the job done. But if you're needing any more than I would use on a daily basis, then I would look at a commercial unit. Turn on my Nero 5 pump. That'll stir up some flow. The good thing is all like the extra excess Monte Carlo just gets stuck on the lily pipe, and I can just go back in a couple hours and just kind of clean it off. I get 2 filled. Pretty nice. I put this ball valve on there so I can just kind of switch it off and off when I need to, or if I need to slow down the flow. Pull out our TDS meter. I usually remetalize it while I'm filling it back up, just so it's already kind of pre-mixed. Be looking at 105. I'll probably put another half a spoonful in. So a TDS meter basically tests, well, TDS, I'll step back for a second. TDS stands for total dissolved solids, and basically what that is it's important if you're using RDI, because obviously that will test how much basically metals, organics, literally anything in the water column basically measures through TDS. And so obviously when you put your water through an RODI system, you basically, what you're looking for is zero TDS, because that RODI system's stripping out everything in the water possible, making it just basically the purest water at zero TDS. So there's not a single thing in it but just water. And so we measure TDS here because obviously we can't just put pure RO back into our tanks. That's actually unhealthy. It'll actually suck out the nutrients for the plants and kill them. It's even dangerous for humans. If we drink RODI, it could make us sick. So, so basically, when I remineralize that salt that you saw me shoving in the tank, basically what I'm doing is replacing the nutrients that RODI system took out. Now, obviously, the RODI system's taking out all the bad stuff and some of the good stuff too. But mainly when we put water through our DI system, we're basically trying to remove all that bad stuff so it doesn't go into our plant tanks, and it's obviously making the water softer as well. And so basically when we strip it down to zero TDS, what I'm re-adding to the tank is basically just the good stuff, and so I'll re-mineralize it to like 120, 130 TDS, and that's basically like a good range for most plant tanks, unless you're keeping some Neocardia shrimp, something that take, or other species that may require just slightly harder water, so you might remineralize it to like 160, 170, 180 TDS, just slightly higher. But yeah, just a quick rundown. It can be kind of confusing at first, but yeah, TDS is like literally, if there's anything you should ever test in a plant tank, it should be TDS. But I think Green Aqua has a great video on TDS. They explain it probably way simpler than I ever could. So the powder, what I remineralize it with shrimp mineral. This is the GH and KH. So again, um, if you're, so basically how I determine if I'm going to use GH and KH or just add back GH is basically just depending on what shrimp I keep. If I'm keeping shrimp, so say if I'm keeping Caridina shrimp or designer shrimps, then I'm always just going to add back GH and keep my KH basically 0 to 1. Um, Other than that, every other setup like this one, I'm just going to add back GH and KH to where GH is around 6 and KH is around 3. So basically KH is when KH is about 3, that's basically like the lowest you can have it before your pH starts jumping all over the place. Of course, when Caradinas we keep it like super low, like 0 to 1, to where pH can be fluctuating kind of a lot, but that's just what Caradina is like, so that's just one of the things we have to do. But yeah, for most tanks, GH and KH plus is what I'd do. It's really the best stuff out there. I'm about to add some Green Game Plus. That's basically just gonna help with the massive trimming, the stress of the plants that we just did. Yeah, RODI is 100% worth it, especially if you have super hard water, if you're well water, tap water. If it's just super hard, yeah, for sure. I mean, all the best plant tanks you ever see are going to be used on RODI system. It's just better overall because not only are we not questioning what's in our water, we know exactly what's in the water because we're the ones that are adding in the nutrients back into the water column, so we know exactly what's in it. And so it just causes less problems at the end of the day. We know exactly what's in it. Plants love it because it's soft water. It's perfect condition for them. So, yeah, and I would recommend it any day of the week. Do some ECA plus, kind of iron supplement. Kind of gives the helps with color. And then Python Git. Then we'll start fertilizing with our ADA. Yeah, I've been actually not gonna lie, I've been pretty bad at fertilizing this tank, but with such good substrate, it really doesn't affect much. Yes. So on my really all my filters, basically the only filters I run are ADA Super Jets or Awaza filters. That's the only two filters I will ever really use these days, unless something else better comes out. But so basically, how all my filters are set up are basically 95% of it is biological media, and my choice is matrix. And then basically the very top layer I'll have a thing of filter floss and Purigen. And yeah, pretty much all I have to do is ever change out the filter floss when it gets clogged. The biological, you may have to rinse it in tank water like a couple times a year if it gets like really gunky and it's causing flow issues. But other than that, yeah, filter floss is the only thing you should ever really touch. At least in my setups, that's all I do. You can like you can see like a perfect out. You guys probably wouldn't be able to see it, but it was like a perfect algae line of where the carpet used to be. I had to go back with the razor and clean it up. That's why I don't filter too much. ADA Pro Razor coming in hand. We'll check the TS now it's mixed in a little more. So yeah, now the TDS is 125, 124, keeps going down. It's right at 120, right where we want it. This tank I can probably keep a little bit harder. Really doesn't matter, but the biggest thing is just keeping it consistent. I mean, 120 is what you should really do for all the tanks. Again, some tanks you can leave a little bit, you can go a little bit higher, but there's still a lot of Monte Carlo. I need to clean out that skimmer. Not looking too bad. Whoa. I don't know why it's seeing you guys in. There we go. No! There we go. Yeah, nitrates, I mean, it could just be the new soil or depending on your livestock. But yeah, I mean, even 20 ppm isn't too bad. But yeah, I typically like to keep it under 10 if we can. If not, like 0. Yeah, I'm running a Samsung, yeah. The zoom can be actually pretty impressive sometimes. The amount of detail it can pick up at so close. Sometimes I double click on the screen and it like zooms in. No, I don't use types on this setup. Trumpet snails, I don't typically keep trumpet snails, so I wouldn't know. I've heard that before, I just don't personally keep them to where I don't really know if they would produce a lot, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised if that was your problem, though. If they're definitely big waste producers, I mean that will, I mean whatever creates waste will create nitrates, so. Oh, so this setup, no, but my other setups, yes. Some of them I don't have yet, but my 60F, for example, will have boas in it. This 45C right here will have probably some high-end red tigers, just high-grade tigers, and then my 45F has some orange lilies, which aren't really nothing special, just um, pretty cheap. I mean, more than your average Neo, but and then I will actually start breeding some really high-end shrimp down the road too. But just in my displays, that's what I have. But the boas are definitely my most impressive species I keep. Yeah, that's why snails, the only snails I ever put in my tanks ever are nitrates and cletons, which cletons are a species of neurite. They're just called horned neurites because they have little horns on them. But yeah, basically nitrate. I mean, um, neurite snails are the only snails I'll ever put in my setups because not only they can breed, but they only breed in brackish water, so they'll never breed in fresh water. So you're always good to go. Boas typically no. I try to stay away with the stone that will um, raise the hardness, but as long as you're doing water changes, you'll be perfectly fine. I mean, it'll never raise that dramatically, at least maybe at first, but that's why I always like to have my setups running for months before I add something like that, just to make sure everything's stable. But as long as you're doing weekly water changes, Syria you won't really harden your water too much, especially if you're using RO. In my setups, no, fish jumping hasn't really ever been a problem. I mean, yeah, I mean you're gonna have some that jump every once in a while, just because that's just the nature of fish. But for the most part, no, I don't really have a big problem with it happening. You see the atro over here is like purling, like all that looks crazy, all that purling action. Yeah, guys, I'll probably, of course, if you guys ever have other questions, you guys have my Instagram. Most of you do. Or if you can always comment on YouTube if you don't. But I'll probably just head off here in a second. I just wanted to do a little stream on the 90p, trimming it. Have a little extra stream in midweek, but I need to still do my shallows, which are just gonna be boring. They're just gonna be doing water changes, but just want to get on here and have a little Q&A and trim the 90p. Definitely looks a lot better. Definitely like brought out the S-rep pins a lot. It actually looks like really sick now. S-rep pins actually like look like they're in the tank and not like just flooded by the Monte Carlo. So it definitely turned out really nice for sure. Yeah, rainbow fish. I mean, they are bigger. I mean, they're gonna be probably known to jump a little bit more than most fish, but again, like you just might just see what happens. I mean, yeah, I don't like lids either. There's a reason why I keep all these rimless tanks, but it's one of those things you just gotta kind of see what happens, kind of experiment. If it seems like it's gonna be a problem, then you can always do at least a very minimum like glass lid where it can at least look somewhat decent, but not too terrible. Oh, yeah. I mean, nano rainbows. It, it's just hard to tell. I mean, typically no. I mean, really, especially when you have them in a big enough school, they seem to get distracted that way anyways. To where if you had very few, they might tend to jump. But yeah, you just see how it goes, and if it's not a fish that's gonna work, I mean, you can always just take them back and do something different. But like on my 60p, for example, like I had the Chile's reservoirs and I had like 40 something there of school in them, and I lost half of them, and then I just had to put the 8860 glass lid on there, and now I haven't had a problem since. At least with 88, their lids look semi nice to where if you really have to put a lid on, you always got that option. I'm gonna feed the not shrimp, feed the shrimp, feed the fish real quick. Today is X Extreme Spirulina. Ronina? Yeah, I usually put quite a bit in here, but yeah, they'll eat it all. There's a lot in here. If not, I got about a 50 Amano shrimp in here that'll pick up after them. Yeah, I can show you guys the galaxy. I'll actually show you guys this tank real quick. I need to turn it on though. I did get 12 galaxies for this tank. Yeah, this tank's doing really good. Little sneak peek. It's looking hot. Definitely ready for that contest come April, May. Definitely is going to need another trim in the back again here before too long. Yeah, I'll see you, Johannes. Thanks for coming out. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate for coming out and watching and hanging out with us. Yeah, the way that Monte Carlo is like binding down on this tank, it's like this thing's like turning out exactly how I want it, which is so nice. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably actually have to go through and I mean, it's not too tall, but I definitely want to keep it more compact in this tank because the way I'm going to shape it, so I definitely will probably do another big trim on this here soon. I'll probably like get a little taller and then I'm going to actually like physically start shaping some of it. You can see how red the Atra is actually now getting, like I was showing you guys earlier, like pearling like crazy in here, but yeah, this tank is insane. I like it. See our under the cab we got the Super Jet. Obviously we just run inline CO2 on this one just because, you know, the way this tank escaped and the dimensions is kind of, it would have looked bad if we had had an inline or had a diffuser in tank, so I just went inline with it, so just a little loop. Then it shoots out, comes out there, got input right there. We also run a Neo 3 on here just because, same deal. With the way this escaped, the flow is kind of an issue, so I just have a Neo 3 on the side there. And I do have a twin star inhibitor, but the closet's a mess. But that's also the RODI system where I was pulling water out of earlier. But yeah, this tank looks so good. It's finally just now looking really good. It was having a lot of hair algae issues. That's just because, you know, there's not a lot of plant mass in here, and it finally settled down and started to really establish itself pretty well in here. I did add some Pinophilia UK to here and here, so hopefully that starts lying down and this starts, you know, growing pretty good, just to give the stems a little more texture. The algae inhibitor by Twin Star, so in the beginning, yes, because obviously that's when you're most prone, so it definitely makes a difference in the beginning. Down the road, you really don't need to run it, honestly, but I just keep it on there for whatever. But yeah, definitely in the beginning. I mean, even if you just buy one and you just constantly use it for the first, you know, 2 or 3 months of the tank's life until it's stable, yeah, it's definitely worth it for sure. I think it's about like the 4th one I've bought, so I'm not complaining. It's done its job. Of course, you know, there's other ways, but it's kind of an expensive device, but it's definitely, I would say it's definitely worth to have if you wanted to, if you have the budget for it. Basically, I mean, I don't know the full science behind it, but basically what it's supposed to do is it's basically creating these micro bubbles to where that's why it looks like mist. It's just such fine bubbles to where those bubbles actually will get into the algae pores that are present in the tank, and that basically will just basically prevent the algae from growing anymore or even kill it, pretty much. Again, I could never explain to you how that works, but it does. To be honest, I don't even know how people even figure that out. you definitely have to have some insane microscope to find out how that works. But yeah, this tank's doing good. Looking real nice. Like I said, I got 12 Gauchos boards. Of course, the lights just like blared on, so they're kind of all hiding, but you can kind of see them all in there schooling. They're probably gonna hide in the stems like most of the time, like they do anyway. But hoping they come out and swim more as they get used to the tank. But even then, if they hide all the time, not a big deal. Yeah, they're coming out now. It's pretty cool. They kind of like go in circles. Like they come out this cave, go in this cave, and they kind of just go around circles in the front here. Pretty cool. Also, I have this Neo 3 kind of high on flow, so that's probably a reason why they don't come out in the front anyway. Just kind of pushes them around a little too much. But I kind of need flow in this tank pretty bad just because there's definitely dead spots that will happen in this tank if I don't have it on, so. Let's see. Alright, guys. Like I said, if you guys have any more questions, I mean, I'll be doing the same stuff here. I just need to get off so I can kind of finish everything else for today. It's got a long day tomorrow. Got a lot of stuff I need to get done, so definitely want to get to bed at a good time. But I'll probably stream again this weekend if I can. But thanks for everybody that came out. Johannes, Brandon. Who else was in here tonight? Kevin, thanks for coming out. I think you guys were the only ones commenting, but Aquaman, thanks for coming. But yeah, I'll see you guys. I'm sure I'll see you guys all in the next one, or see you guys sometime. But like I said, if you guys got more questions, definitely hit me up on Instagram. I'll definitely answer whatever you guys need. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for coming out, guys.